Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity.
You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search. Focus that fire. And so we come together. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on March 27th, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring the weapons of Season of the Dawn, or Season of Dawn, I guess. There's no "the" in that one. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Gr4veM1st.
And this is the Trials by Fire, or by Void. I guess it's more by Void. Green-Eyed Music Lover. Because I play Void.
Last but definitely not the least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend Gravemind. Grave, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm the Gravemind, and I am the monument to like a few of your sins, I guess.
A few.
As long as you're not a solar system size one, you know,
not all, not yet.
As long as you don't metamorphosis into a key mine, we're okay.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But I'm still a proto form. Just give me a couple of thousand years, and I'll be.
Fair enough. Green, I'm going to unleash you.
Oh, unleash me. Oh, my. I don't know how to feel about that. Anyway.
Noted.
Gosh.
We'll use that as going forward.
Right. All right. So, Grave, I've actually only started seeing you kind of in the Twitterverse probably the last like 6 to 7 months. I've seen you really hit up a lot of different people on the same circles as me. So my question to you, since you're kind of a newer voice in the community that's really starting to stand out, what is your favorite lore story in Destiny? Like what about you? I would like to sit down with a cup of coffee with you and figure out what is your favorite lore story.
Are you going to ask me for dinner first?
I mean, this is kind of how lore masters ask each other out to dinner.
Yeah, she doesn't play that
way. If there's butter gators, we are all on for dinner.
Well, in that case, I'm going to figure out what butter gators are. My favorite lore story, it's always been Dredgen Yor and Shin Malphur.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's always everyone's favorite.
Right.
But for me, it really does resonate with me because there's something about that story that just moves me to tears. Like, that showdown at Winter's Ridge, like how the writer describes just the emotion Shin feels as he's moving to light up his golden gun.
Yeah.
There's just something about it.
How do you feel about the developments within that story where Shin is now kind of not necessarily a dark character, but a character that's more willing to be an anti-hero?
Oh, I love it. I think it totally makes it. I think it totally adds to his character. I think the stuff they've added to that since reintroducing Last Word and Thorn,
mm-hmm.
It's such an integral part because we finally have more answers to what happened after that. What happened after Yor died. And we have this whole elaboration on, and we finally have a more a stronger tie to that in game through the Drifter and in his story.
This is true.
And I love that fervor connection. It's the closest I think we're going to get until they add Shin as a vendor. And that's the only way that they'll further strengthen that.
It's true. I'm interested to see if they're going to continue that story at all at this point, because it feels like it's at a fairly natural stopping place, in particular with Shen. But
I feel like if they ended on here with Lumina, it'll be on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And John has said that he purposely ends each installment of them, where if they choose not to continue, in the
Which
next
is smart.
DLC, it's an except like because he said that. I mean, he's gone on record saying that the story that he has for Shin will probably never get the full ending that he has, just simply because it's quite extensive. And but that's why he writes it the way he does, with each installment kind of being a self-contained story, is so that it's not a cliffhanger that's not necessary, basically. That's
true. Well, okay, so here is my follow-up question. Is the story of Yor and Dredge and Shen, which is accurate actually, even though no one ever calls them that, is that the story that got you into lore, or is there a different story that kind of pulled you in first and then you ended up stumbling upon the Dwindler's Ridge story later?
Well, the first story that actually got me into Destiny from a lore perspective was Vault of Glass, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pahanan and them.
Yep. Specifically Kabir.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Kabir's fall that, again, it kind of drives me to tears, because the Vault of Glass was my first raid, and I actually ended up getting a lot of the Kabir's armor set.
Nice.
And on that first run. And that was
on your first run?
Yeah, on my first run.
I
kind of like the chest. Okay.
Lucky. I never got, was missing so many of those armor pieces, and I never got Vex Mythoclast. I never got that weapon. Granted, I didn't raid that much, but jeez.
Oh, the ship? Wow. Yeah, that was the difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my first run, too.
Nice.
I didn't even know what I was doing in that. I don't think any of us knew what we were.
That was definitely a raid you had to have everybody know what was going on.
Yeah.
And
everyone knew what was going on except me, I felt. But then again, the team that we assembled wasn't a typical LFG kind of thing. I was kind of roped into it. I was just doing some stuff around the tower, and these guys kind of invited me to a party and said, "Hey, we need a 6-man for Vault of Glass." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." And we did Vault of Glass, and when Dark Blow hit, we did Crow's End.
Oh, those days.
Yep, and then after that, we never saw each other again.
Those days
the true raid LFG right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no LFG external site. We didn't even use Bungie's app. We just found each other in the tower. We were in the same.
That's awesome. I think that may have been something more common back in D1, because I haven't had that happen in D2. I've had people reach out to me in D1. That's actually kind of, in some ways, one of the things that my old clan back in Xbox used to do. Karen, she is notorious for wanting to invite blueberries into our party, and then she's kind of obnoxiously like, "Hi, what you doing?" And
hey,
she makes friends that way. It's great. She's more of a extrovert than the entire clan put together at that time. So
sometimes that's what you need, though.
It is. So last question for you before we get into kind of a crazy off-the-wall type question. What is your primary class that you play? And then on top of that, what's your primary subclass?
If you had asked me that during Forsaken, I probably would have said Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But since Shadowkeep, I've gravitated back to my Titan. And I've always been a Titan main since D1 or D1 beta.
Now, very important. Are you Peregrine Greaves Titan? Are you Sentinel Titan? Are you which Titan are you doing? Which burb are you participating as?
The one that vomits light, or the?
We're gonna have to explain that joke here.
Oh my god! I'm gonna refer to all the subclasses as this.
Which
now.
one gives you the need hardest? Peregrine Greaves.
You want the Greaves? Oh, okay, so here's the next question on that. Are you grieving on Striker or are you grieving on Sentinel? Because I think you can...
I grieve on Striker, baby.
Okay. Nice. There are fewer and fewer of those around, I feel.
We're a dying breed, but we are still very vulnerable.
You know, I'm okay. I'm okay that it's a bit of a dying breed, because do you remember Season of the Titan where it was the super would last for days at that point? Oh my god! And you could get spawn killed by the same super like 6 times.
It was a good day. Those were good days.
So frustrating. So I made a reference a little bit ago. This is kind of a breakout type thing, and I'm going to put it in our private chat for you to see. A friend of mine suggested this Twitter account because there are
fair warning. This Twitter account is dangerous.
Yeah, this is one that's not going to go into the show notes, so you don't have to worry about that. Or if you really, really want it, just ping at me or just look at some of the people I followed recently. But there is really good art on here that is not NSFW, that is birds, subclass birds. And it's kind of hilarious because the Striker Titan is like this blur of a bird trying to go down. And then like the arc ones, the arc subclasses are the best in general, because Pole Dancer for Hunter is literally a bird spinning around a pole that's stationary. And then the Warlock one is this bird just vomiting arc at other people. It is so good. It's like
I think I see what you want.
It's one of my happiest moments lately. Like, you want to talk about a happy Destiny moment? This is definitely one of them.
Shoot the warp. Shoot the.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rejoicing that if I was this person. Oh my god.
It's great. But okay, so crazy question.
Oh boy.
If you could embody any animal, but still have your super, your Titan super, which animal would you embody?
That'd be a bear.
A charging bear?
Bless
it. That'd be a bear.
Why a bear? Like, what kind of bear? A Kodiak bear? A grizzly bear? A polar bear?
Grizzly.
A teddy bear? Okay.
It'd be a mix between grizzly and teddy.
You are such a Titan.
I'd be a huge softie, but I hit hard. Of course, okay. I'm a Titan main.
Yeah, you were definitely a Titan. It's funny because you have like a friend of the show, Beard Grizzly, who was a Warlock for so stinking long, and now will never turn away from Titan. That is his main.
Oh,
at
really?
This point. That's he switched
hilarious.
To Titan about a year ago now, and he has not gone back. Like, he is full Titan now. It's great. Oh, you're playing with Orchid. That's what's going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Cool. So, Blue, I know you're probably in the middle of a match or getting ready to start up another match, but I'm going to toss it back to you with any special announcements we may have.
We don't have any special announcements other than just like a repeat of the one that we had last week. Just about, keeping safe. Everyone, let us know if there's anything that we can do to help, whether that's a chat, shoulder to talk to or ear to talk to or a shoulder to lean on, whatever. Obviously we're here to make sure that everyone is as happy and as comfortable. Remember to wash your hands, be safe, stay at home if you have the option, all that stuff that you're hearing everywhere
all the time.
Yeah. All the time. Everyone's telling you.
I think the more important thing,
also just chill.
I think the most important announcement that we have with that is that remember to have fun during this. Like, it's really easy to not have fun and to worry about a lot of things. And
feel free to turn off social media.
Yes,
It's a
100%.
staycation. Think of it as a staycation.
Right. And now that things have proceeded the way they have, I think it's a little bit more easily able to relax and breathe a little bit. My wife has smiled genuinely for the first time today in about 2 weeks. So really, really figure out your routine, find something to be fun or have fun with, even if it's like puzzles. Like there's been a huge boom in puzzle sales lately.
I can't imagine why.
I mean, it's kind of cool.
Right.
I grew up doing puzzles with my grandmother, so it's not a foreign thing for me to be like, hey, I want to get a puzzle and put it together. But it's just find something to relax with that is not a screen. Like if you are a screen person and you get energy from it, great. But if you are somebody who gets drawn in and sucked like the energy out of, go paint, go draw, go draw in the dirt if you're not good at drawing on paper. Just figure out something to just different.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just want to spend time playing games, Doom Eternal came out just
Animal Crossing came out.
Yep, and Doom is really fun. It's fun to rip and tear. I'm struggling right now.
There's amazing Animal Crossing memes right now too.
Doom and Animal Crossing is one of the most wholesome crossovers. Like those subreddits have like single-handedly restored some of my faith in humanity because the joke is that they released on the same day, or they both came out on the same day, and everyone was like predicting this huge fight between, because the Doom subreddit is not for the faint of heart.
It's a little darker. I mean, considering the context of the show, it's darker.
And they like wholeheartedly just embrace the Animal Crossing community. And Animal Crossing did the same thing to theirs. Oh my god, it was it's just adorable. And the crossovers have just been they're great memes. But yeah. Other than that, we just have our standard housekeeping notes, and then I'm actually going to probably be I know you guys said something about curated roles, and I stopped listening.
It's not.
I warned Grave beforehand. He's like, "Yeah, we're going to talk about this role and this role." I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Like,
we're going to talk about like suggested roles. It's fine, Blue. It's fine. We're gonna walk you through it. It's not gonna be hard.
Oh,
it's not gonna be scary.
It's mostly because I don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just don't worry about it. We'll hold your hand. Okay. Just don't mess it up.
Come, my child. Let me show you the wonders of what these perks can do on these different guns. Oh boy. Okay, so the time lost weapons. I'm assuming I'm good to go, right, Blue? Yeah,
I mean, really, the only thing I would say, I just wasted that. The only thing I would say is we are just keeping it, as the title of the show does kind of suggest, we are keeping it to Season 9 or Season of Dawn.
Sure.
But that being said, if there is a specific weapon, or, I know we have Rhino does the Destiny Armory Defined, and he does quite a bit on weapons. If there is a gun that, or a weapon that you prefer, or you will really, really have like strong feelings of, let us know in either comments on Podbean or comments on the YouTube channel, or, we'll put this up on the blog as we usually do, and just give us a comment there. Because it's definitely really cool looking at like some of I don't really look at the technical sides of weapons as much as I look at like the historical connections for like the Destiny Armory Defined and stuff. But it's interesting seeing all that, because I know, what is it, Mercules, and is it Fallout that does a lot of...
Fallout does a ton of weapon testing, and there's a lot of people who do weapon testing videos and whatnot. Fallout's probably the most notable. He'll actually go in and do clips in the Callus Menagerie, I guess. It's not the actual menagerie, but it's this trophy room, right? You can spawn enemies over and over, and you can test out weapons in there.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, that being said, if there is a weapon from another season that you guys have, like, you guys want to talk about, please feel free to use the comment section to do exactly that.
Or for lore purposes as well. Anyway, go for it, Grave.
Yeah. Also, I also want to mention there's a DCP, the Destiny Community Podcast. They started another series talking about
that's right,
weapons specifically. Called was it Firing Range?
Yeah, I want to say it's like it's something like Firing Range or On the Range or something. I think it's Firing Range.
Yeah, those guys, Cool Guy, Fallout, Mercules, they all get together and they're actually regularly and they talk about different weapons and different weapons in general and Destiny and how
they're kind of they're taking a little bit over the void of what happened with Crucible Radio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, that brings us into the time lost weapons in general, or like the Season of the Dawn weapons. They are weapons that we have had in the past, most of them, some of them are new, that have been lost in time and we're able to access through either doing specific missions for like the exotics or even through the obelisk by doing these miniature quest-like things. If you were around during the Black Armory days, you had those little quests to get the Black Armory weapons. This is a similar take on that, but without having to go and do forges, which I appreciate.
And later on, as the season was coming to a close, there was a fourth obelisk. There were three obelisks. Mm-hmm. Tangle Shore, the EDZ, and on Nessus. Then there was
Mars.
And Mars. And there was a fifth one at the tower. As the season was coming to a close, you could donate the currency of the season, fractaline, and you could actually donate to the Imperium Foundation, which would later give birth to Trials, as is now. And and you would now and any bounties you had, any weapon bounties you had, if you donated enough fractaline, you would actually complete whatever weapon bounties you had.
Yeah, so it was 25% of the weapon bounty done for every grouping of fractaline you donated at the time, which was great. It allowed you to get a lot of different weapons and get your perfect roll.
Yep.
For the weapon. And one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit during this introduction episode, which is a little less, it's going to be a little less lore heavy. Second episode is going to be the more lore heavy as far as like the advanced episode for the week. This one, we're actually going to talk about a few suggested roles. Now, I pulled these specifically from, and I feel really kind of sheepish, the fact that I pulled it from Forbes, but I did pull it from Paul Tassi. I actually agree with a lot of these roles. I think they're great, great balancing things, and especially for PvE. There are a few roles in here that I would say that are PvP roles, but some of the PvE roles that he has are really, really good. But
and there were some that I have personally used, because I personally think that the weapons from Season of Dawn are also some of the best we've had in the game so far. Like, straight up.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, the very first role that we're going to talk about the Tangled Shore weapons that we were able to get. Now, I'm only doing the time lost weapons that are kind of like the primary weapons. There are some that do not have lore. I'm not really touching on them as much, but I do have some roles for that. So, Breachlight Sidearm. Sidearms back last season were good. They're better this season. So if you are a sidearm lover, you really want to pick up a sidearm this season. Drang is deadly. Breachlight's deadly. Traveler's Judgment is kind of stupid in the best of ways. So if you're a sidearm fan, now is the time to try it. But in the Breachlight sidearm, you have a few different roles that are really great. Outlaw and Rampage. Always good kind of ones to have. Outlaws, because you want that speed reload and everything. Outlaw and Multi-Kill Clip, Outlaw and Vorpal. Now, Blue asked what Vorpal was earlier when we were off air, and Vorpal is actually a really cool perk that's come to light in the last couple of seasons. It allows you to do more damage to people who are in their supers if you're in Crucible. And remind me, Grave, what it is in for PvE, because I'm going to have you do a little bit more of the PvE side. I'm a little bit more PvP, unfortunately, so
that's what you killed the Jabberwocky with.
The Vorpal?
The Vorpal sword. That's what you kill the Jabberwock with.
Oh my god.
That's actually a really cool reference that I had not thought about.
That's a reference.
I like it.
All right, that's my contribution. I'm done. Bye.
Okay, so Vorpal Weapon. Vorpal Weapon was a perk that was introduced last season, and it came with a lot of the new weapons that were introduced last season. So Vorpal Weapon does bonus damage to bosses, and it kind of also does bonus damage to majors, but not really. It's really minuscule in terms of damage bonus, but against bosses, it's really good. Glad, I remember this one clip. He was testing a sidearm in like the tribute hall against the ogre, simulated ogre, and it shredded. I believe it was the breach line as well.
Nice.
It's stupid good.
Yeah, it is a really good weapon. Another role that Paul had on his article was to use Demolition and Vorpal together. Demolitionist is actually a really underappreciated one because that helps you get your grenades back faster. Grenades are some of the most powerful tools that you have in both PvE and PvP. It's a really great tool for PvE especially. Demolitionist and Rampage, you're just going to burn through all of like lost sectors and stuff like that without any trouble.
Yeah, and Demolitionist, it gives you extra grenade energy back.
Mm-hmm.
And reloading allows you to reload the weapon.
So sidearms, one of the things that they buffed the last couple of seasons, if you are a listener at the show and you're not necessarily a huge sidearm fan, I really encourage you to pick up one, whether it's Anonymous Autumn, which is a great one, Breach Light, which is a great one, and just run around for a little while with it. They actually feel more akin to hand cannons in so much that they can melt as fast as a shotgun, and they have a longer range. They're kind of that extended range past a shotgun.
They're a shotgun counter.
Oh yeah, they're a great shotgun counter. They're actually, I think they would replace Recluse. If Recluse wasn't so prominent in the SMG slot, you can easily replace Recluse with a sidearm, especially if you have a full auto sidearm or
one of the burst ones, like Last Hope or Last Dance.
Mm-hmm. Ironically, the Vestian Dynasty has not been that prevalent lately, and it used to be the sidearm I would use all the time. It's not nearly as good as it used to be, but Breachlight is a great one to pick up.
My one complaint about Breachlight is the kick.
Mm-hmm.
It kicks like a mule.
If you have a handling mod on it, or not a handling, masterwork,
yeah.
That makes it a lot nicer. Range masterwork or handling masterwork on sidearms is great. So I'm going to move on to an auto rifle. So Tangled Shore auto rifle was the Steel Feather Repeater.
My favorite one.
Yeah, out of all of the Time Lost weapons, or
out of all Time Lost weapons.
Steel
Feather is my favorite.
That's my favorite one too, because it's the only one I got.
Oh, really?
It's really good. It's really good.
There's some good ones this season too. Like I kind of want to dig into this season weapons as well.
Yeah, like the Seraph weapon.
Mm-hmm. The 7 Seraph weapons are pretty good. There is a auto rifle that's specifically for the.
Oh, go for it. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the auto rifle that is not the 7th Seraph one is also really good, and it's kind of annoying because I had a team full of them in trials tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not going to.
The 7th Seraph one I got is like a laser beam. Like it. I don't know if it's just because. I don't know if
Auto
that's the
rifle buff?
Archetype. Yeah, I don't know if it's that archetype or if that's just the specific role I got. But I pull the trigger and it doesn't move, like, at all.
Fast.
Yeah, I think that might be a precision because Steel Feather is a rapid fire.
Mm-hmm. Oops, I'm sorry. My dog decided he wanted to say hi.
Hi, doggo.
Yes, so the rapid fire auto rifles are definitely, I think, a harder hitting, ironically, than the heavier hitting ones. Like I used Tiger Spite all through Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
That was my baby. But it doesn't hit nearly as hard now compared to some of its faster firing cousins. So I like the faster fire ones. Suros is a great one. The spin up Suros is deadly as all get out. Anyway,
Monte Carlo is great.
Mm-hmm. Steel Feather Repeater, though. We should actually talk about the time lost weapon.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about it.
You can't tell I like talking about guns. Steel Feather Repeater Auto Rifle has a few really, really good roles. One of them is Feeding Frenzy and Multi-Kill Clip. Another one is Subsistence and Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler, I personally have not ever really played around with. I don't know. What are your feelings on that one, Grave?
I haven't really started to use Swashbuckler until I got some weapons that came with it last season.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see Swashbuckler is, it's obviously it got nerfed. You deal.
Well, it had to. That and 1-2 punch were way overpowered.
Yeah, and I feel like if Monte Carlo came back during that, it would have been Gambit would have been a pain. But anyway, Swashbuckler on Steel Feather is really good. I actually added a role in the show notes that I have used.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Grave Robber and Swashbuckler.
Okay.
And you heard me talking about Monte Carlo earlier, and I basically I say with Grave Robber and Swashbuckler on Steel Feather, it's basically a legendary version of Monty. It's not a bad role at all, and it's one that a lot of players tend to sleep. If you want, if you don't have Monte Carlo yet, then getting any auto rifle for that matter, but specifically Steel Feather with Grave Robber and Swashbuckler is really good.
Okay.
It frees up that exotic slot too.
Yeah, that would. And having an exotic primaries slot, I really shy away from using an exotic primary anymore. I pretty much almost always just use a secondary exotic. It's just so hard to justify it, but I don't know. The Black Scorpion is the callback weapon that we had back in year 1, I want to say. Black Scorpion 4SR.
Yeah, I think it was year 1.
Or D2, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the beginning weapons, if I remember right. One of the ones that they used for the beta. It's been a while.
I think it was a beta one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
it was the original release. It was in the original release, I believe.
Yeah.
This one is definitely one you want Zen Moment on. It's going to turn it into more of a laser pointer. It is also, I believe, naturally a full auto scout.
Yep.
And then you want either Rampage or Outlaw on it as well. I would prefer Rampage for a PvP loadout rather than Outlaw, though having the fast reload is nice. But that's just me. I like being able to mow people down after a few kills and just continue to mow them down for a while.
I was going to recommend one with rangefinder.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad one. I don't know. I don't ever really look for a rangefinder on a scout rifle, though it makes sense because if you are pushing the range of the weapon out, it actually increases the accuracy, which is one of the weird ways that Bungie...
Increases the stickiness.
So, there's that. Mars, I don't really have... I don't know. I hated the Mars weapons, not gonna lie. I've been farmed with them a few different times. One of the Mars weapons was Martyr's Retribution, which is the grenade launcher that makes everybody angry because it is the one where you shoot fire at their feet and it creates basically the grenade line that...
From a thermite grenade.
Yes. Though it doesn't make the same sound as a thermite grenade. I don't think it's nearly as loud.
I think it's altered slightly.
Okay. So
I don't main Sunbreaker with thermite grenade on.
That's true.
I think we go fusion.
That is another option for those of you still chasing Mountaintop, like I am, because I hate grenade launchers and I refuse to put on a primary or secondary grenade launcher.
It's a pretty slow one.
This one's a second. Yeah, this is a secondary grenade launcher, so you're going to have more ammo availability. So that's
I think it's just interesting to note that Martyrs is actually the debut of a new frame of grenade launcher.
Oh, really?
Frame. Yep. We have never had a wave frame before in the game.
Interesting.
So and what wave frames do is like you said, when you fire it, the grenade instantly explodes on the ground and creates this line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be interesting to see if we get more grenade launchers like that.
It would be interesting to see if they institute anything similar because there's no, besides the void wall, they could do a void grenade. They have that animation already set up. They don't have necessarily an arc thread like that. Like there's never been an arc grenade that does a trail. There's obviously arc web, which can go die in fire.
I like an arc. I like arc grenade. Like an arc grenade.
That would be interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the secondary grenade launcher that you get from the season. There is Line in the Sand linear fusion rifle. I saw this quite a bit last season. I really haven't seen it much this season. I don't know if backup mag was such a big thing for such a long time, and I think that was one of the things that you just really want to have on any fusion rifle at this point because it just increases that fire rate so much. But I don't have any rolls that I was like, I really want or I really know that would be great on that one.
But Line in the Sand is
or
kind of
plan.
It's kind of interesting. It actually has a fairly decent damage output, and during last season, it was how I saw after PvP linear fusion. The problem is linear fusions are linear fusions, so you tend to treat them like they're heavy sniper rifles, but they don't really do a lot of damage that heavy snipers
headshots, they're great. And that's probably why we saw them last season, because that was the way to get Komodo. That's why I saw it. And Black Flag sent me one of his favorites, which is rapid hit and firing line.
Yeah.
So
and that's. I'm also going to link this video Dado did with damage tests with multiple different Line in the Sand rolls, including ones with firing line, and they're actually pretty decent.
Cool. If you can send that to me in our DMs that we got going on in the other chat, I can put it into chat for you.
Will do.
Thank you. All right, so the repeat or the kind of time lost weapon that was back from D1 really showed up actually with the Drifter, and Gambit was Bygones. Everyone has their favorite Bygones. There's pretty well established following of what is good for Bygones and what is not. A lot of people have their own flavor on which they like. You go find what you like with that one. There are plenty of those out there. Going to Nessus, we still have 2 more locations to go to. Nessus, I do have quite a few suggested roles. We have Patron of Lost Causes, the scout rifle from Nessus.
Love this gun.
Yes. Patron. Now, I can't remember what fire rate this gun is.
It's a lightweight. It's the same firing rate as Mida.
Okay, so this is the one that's pinging you from across the map pretty easily. And so if you have rapid hit and Vorpal weapon, you can actually help melt down a super very, very, very quickly.
Also good against champions.
Mm-hmm.
Very good against champions.
Rapid hit and explosive rounds basically gives you Dragonfly. Explosive rounds I have mixed feelings about, personally, because it's a delayed damage. It's great, but it's also kind of a mixed feeling in PvP when there's milliseconds between kills.
It also steals your kills for that type of weapon. Wishender does that all the time. I get so annoyed by it.
Oh, Le Monarch too. Anytime you have a certain type of burn or a tick afterwards, timed payload also does this. It will steal. If you're
also increase flinch. That's a big thing in PvP.
Yeah, for snipers. Snipers are such a big thing now. That would be great for snipers against snipers. Full auto explosive rounds, full auto and Vorpal weapon. Full auto on that scout rifle is really nice. It fires very quickly, so it actually fires. It reminds me of a newer version of the what was it? The Black Scorpion? No, what was it called?
Or was it?
Yeah, Black Scorpion.
Or Randy's.
That too. It was the place of that. If you never got Randy's back in would have been season 8.
Yeah, you can still get it. It just
count.
It won't count towards anything.
The Triumph.
Yeah, we'll count towards the Triumph, but yeah.
But, alright, so here's the one that everybody has. Here's the one I've been waiting for. We talked about how great Breachlight was at the beginning of this episode. Now, we're getting to the one that is a PvP god weapon. This has been used successfully against multiple teams, not just against me, not just against my clan, but also against many people who do trials carries and done fairly successfully. Traveler's Judgment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it should be working on Traveler's Judgment. Back then, this was a year one weapon technically. It was introduced in Curse of Osiris. This was one of the prophecy weapons.
Yes.
And this is one of 2 or 3 prophecy weapons that came back in Season of Dawn.
Absolutely. The rules that you want to find for that for PvE is Feeding Frenzy and Dragonfly. If you are a PvP person, one of the rules that's really great is Rapid Hit and Tap the Trigger. It's kind of an underrated one. Really, honestly, with the boost to sidearms, most anything with a Rapid Hit for sidearm is going to be really good in PvP. Auto-loading holster and disruption break is great for popping shields for your PvE. So if you're going in and doing a nightfall, that's actually a nice way to do it. Or if you're doing these bunkers, and there's the what are they called?
The anti-barrier champions?
Yep. The ones that sidearms are one of the ones you can put mods onto this season. Sidearms and submachine guns. This is actually a really great one to take into a bunker to help clear it much quicker.
It fires in 3-round bursts too, so think Last Dance.
Nice. Last Dance is good again too. That one's interesting to see.
So why they brought that one back too.
Yeah. Alright, so last one for Nessus is Jack Queen King 3, also a weapon from Curse of Osiris. This one has been brought back with not really a whole lot added to it that wasn't there before. Swashbuckler is a possible role you can get on it now. Swashbuckler and Substance. It's actually a pretty decent role. What did you put something down for this one, Grave? Good amount of fun rolls here outside of the usual outlaw combos. Yeah. Subsistence. Again, I never really Swashbuckler until Season of Dawn, and I stan Swashbuckler obviously. Now, just because the damage boost is so good, I believe it's one of the easiest ways to get a damage boost off a weapon. You can easily just either keep shooting and you'll get an increase to Swashbuckler, increase in that damage bonus, or you can just melee kill an enemy and you'll get a full charge that way. It also doesn't just increase damage to your weapon, it also increases damage to your melee, which you're going to be doing a lot if you have Swashbuckler. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Swashbuckler on hand cannons because I don't generally close that tightly with hand cannons against an enemy. Sidearms seem to be a more natural fit for me as far as that range, but it is a really good combo to have Swashbuckler on because of how hard it hits. If you are quick with your aim down sights, or if you're good at even just hip firing. Demolitionist and Rampage, another good one, and then Demolitionist and Firefly. This one's really pretty good in PvE. It's okay in PvP. Not the best hand cannon there. They're still going to get out.
It's middle of the road. Overall it's an okay hand cannon.
Yeah, it'll still get outclassed by Last Word, Austringer, and Luna's Howl, or the one that I can't actually get because I can't get through comp without getting angry.
We're not going to mention that weapon that shall not be forgotten.
Basically. But all right, so 2 more weapons. EDZ.
Yep.
Gallant Charge Fusion Rifle. I saw this quite a bit last season.
Gallant Charge. I never really used Gallant Charge a lot.
It's okay. It's got a decent charge time on it naturally, and then if you put backup plans on it, it's pretty nice. The range on it still isn't nearly as far as, say, an Arantil, or obviously your linear fusion rifles are going to have a much longer range, but it's a decent one. The last weapon that's available is Infinite Pass 8, another Curse of Osiris weapon. It's a pulse rifle.
I do not like Infinite Pass.
Pulse rifles, pulse rifles are in a bad spot right now. I feel it's
not even like pulse rifles in general. It's just the lightweight frames, and that's what Infinite Pass kind of falls into.
Yeah,
because
it just tickles.
It's also jumpy. It's also very, very jumpy. If you don't have even with a counterbalance socket.
I can see that.
It's a very it's not good. It's not a good dueling weapon in PvP. It tickles enemies in PvE. I have like one or two, and they don't really do much for me.
I gotcha. Yeah, those. I mean,
They look great. They look great in shaders, though.
Which one was? I'm sorry.
They look great in shaders.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I have one in Burnished Streams. Looks really good.
Some of the weapons just look good in different shaders. Some of them don't. I'm looking at you, Anonymous Autumn. You look like in every shader I put on you. But so those are kind of the different weapons you could have gotten from the obelisk. As far as the obelisk themselves, they were pretty easy to put together. There was a mission that you had to do, not too terribly difficult. As far as connecting all of them, I kind of wanted to bring up the question to you guys on why specifically those locations. Do we have anything from the mission or the lore that you guys can think of that would dictate EDZ, Mars, Nessus, and I'm blanking the last one, Tangled Shore.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about this like the other day, and I saw when I was like doing these, I saw like the obelisk were like they had like a beam that was pointing, and they created like a hole in the sky. Yeah, and if you looked, like I was wondering, okay, where these obelisks are also pointing somewhere, and we also found out where they were pointing towards. They were pointing towards the White House, the new White House for Trials. But in terms of like the locations, I don't really know. Like I would have to speculate maybe they would have something to do with the maps in this first run of Trials for this season.
Okay.
But then again, like last week we had the anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And we never had an obelisk on the moon. But,
no, we did not. Though, I mean, if you talk about some of the different locations, EDZ connected to, well, think about Rasputin right now. We had EDZ so far for Rasputin and the moon for Rasputin, locations that the war mine bunkers were. We also have that map in the bunkers that kind of shows that there's possibly bunkers on all the different planets, including some of the moons. Obviously, our moon in particular has one. But with the obelisks themselves, Osiris never calls out that I can remember why these specific locations. Now, he always talked about why he's doing it, why he's connecting all these places, but I don't know. Blue?
It kind of was like LOL video game.
Yeah. Blue, do you have any idea besides just the video game reasons?
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like obelisk in Egyptian mythology are, there's the adult version of what they stand for, and then there's also the connection to Ra and the sun disk, and there's a lot of different iterations as to their meaning. But as far as like the connection, the connection here, I think it's mostly, hey, we have these maps and we want to give you a reason to go back to them more than anything that I've seen. The Vex
are not on the EDZ, so it's not like that is the reason for that one to be there. They are on Nessus. They are
and
on Mars. No, they're not on Mars.
I think there might be, you could maybe make an argument that there are touch points in the time loop, but that being said, they never got used for that.
Right.
So
it's hard for me to say that that's the reason.
It's also a matter of course time. Like the obelisks were actually very important in solving phase.
Well, no, but I mean, like there weren't like touch points that we went and corrected. Like it wasn't like Saint 14 where we actually interfered with the time stream. It was more about protecting the time stream from being manipulated, which that could be the point too.
We did kind of interfere with it a little bit. I mean, we went in and did that very first mission with Saint 14 with the spider walkers, right? Like that was
right.
Paradox. We gave them the paradox they gave to us.
Right, and I mean, I guess the the argument you could make is that the entire premise behind us setting up the obelisk and the sundial in general was to prevent the Super Saiyan sisters from messing with the timeline.
That could be.
And
also,
so
the
I'm just trying
creation
to think,
of the Imperial Foundation and rebuilding the lighthouse, using all that energy to rebuild the lighthouse.
Which, given the new lore of the lighthouse, I'm not really sure why we did that. But, that being said, there's that too. I'm trying to think, though, if there were major touch points maybe on those locations. Maybe there are obelisks on every location or on every planet, and we just didn't trigger those. I mean, there could be a lot of, just because we didn't interact with something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that for whatever purpose, it wasn't necessary.
Right. That's fair. So, from there with the obelisk, that kind of brings us...
Yeah, Doom does make a point that Cabal were present on all locations that the obelisk...
That's fair.
Yeah, that should be...
That's interesting, especially considering that the Cabal are actually not a super influential race at the moment.
Well, they obviously were during Season of Dawn because of the Scions.
Right, I was about to say, because it was the Scions more than anything.
Oh, that would make more sense. Okay,
because they were messing with, because again, the Super Saiyan sisters.
Right, Super Saiyan sisters.
They do the merge dance.
Fusion.
Super
they
fusion.
do the merged. Yes, they do the fusion
dance. Fusion.
Except Io, which has a Vex structure there. Right.
Yes. I listen to Dragon Ball too. Okay.
Hey, DBZ is a good one.
It is a good one. It's good. It's really good.
All right. So here's my next question for you: time lost weapons in relation to the actual time lost puzzle, the puzzle that we had to go through to get all the lore for the season.
This is my favorite part.
All right, I'm going to let you go on this one and just ask questions to help lead on it. So,
okay. Basically, what I want to talk about in terms of corridors of time, just what did you guys think about it? Like when the puzzle was happening, what was going on in your head when it was happening?
I personally thought it was a little frustrating when it was fascinating. It was fascinating to start seeing the map reveal itself slowly, right? Like that's the whole point of it. And then you had the community involvement with putting the puzzle pieces together and finding the missing ones and then basically code breaking to get the other ones. That is interesting as well. It was a really well designed community event. Not gonna lie, running corridors of time over and over and over again was not my favorite. Mainly because of the rooms being static rolled, essentially. Like, there was not a huge amount of variance between rooms. Like,
it was very easy to get yourself turned around.
It is, but it was also really easy to run through everything. Like, you didn't have to kill everything. There was not a huge thing, which is, granted,
I made one run that I didn't kill anything in.
Right, which was great for the farming of the maps. That was absolutely excellent, the fact that it wasn't incredibly difficult. But the thing that I found really the balance was off, I guess, between the exertion of the group putting everything into it versus the singular reward of what you get towards when you run at the end on your own. Like, everybody's puzzle pieces didn't exactly matter in some ways, which is hard to do in a game that is played with as many people as possible. But I don't know, it was not a bad execution, just an interesting take on their execution. Don't know if I would suggest doing something like that again.
It felt like another take on Niobe Labs, a much more successful take on it, but it still kind of faltered a little bit in terms of giving everyone something to do. Because I feel like the polarized fractaline donation drives for trials was a much more successful take on it. They just took out the puzzle element and just made it a community effort to just donate fractaline.
Yeah. It just wasn't as fun to play as it was to see the community work together on it.
Now, here's another question I want to talk about. And this is just a general thing about the corridors of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to present this theory to you.
I'm sorry?
I want to present like a little theory about the corridors in general.
Okay.
What we see certain Vex in the corridors, certain types of Vex. We see descendants and precursors.
Mm-hmm.
We saw those same Vex in the Vault of Glass.
Mm-hmm. We see those same ones on Mars in the first mission on Mars.
Yep. And I was thinking,
or not Mars, Mercury. Sorry.
Yeah, in the first Curse of Osiris mission.
Mm-hmm.
And your ghost makes mention that they're the same Vex you saw the Vault of Glass and you did the raid.
Right.
So I was thinking, there's got to be a connection between the corridors and the vault, right?
Well, I mean, it's a type of Vex technology that is time fluctuating. So yeah, I would agree with that. That the vault has its particular function and time, or the corridors has a slightly different function.
Well,
yeah, and also the gate thresholds are also similar to the glass throne at the end.
Well, because if you remember, the vault was the confluence of the corridors.
Oh, was that actually something stated back in the vault?
Well, it was described as the confluence of time. That's what a confluence is. It's a connecting point for all the corridors and travel ways. So if you have corridors of time, then you would have a confluence.
Yep. And what I'm thinking is the corridors of time are like pulling back the curtain and seeing like the machine, or it's like the other side of it's like when you crack open a computer like case and you see like all these bits and bobbles and wires going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My question with that though is that if the corridors of time that we had here do have more of a bearing on being related to the actual vaulted glass, what is the purpose of the corridors of time? Is it literally just a house to traverse through time? It is literally the stepping. Is it the steps?
I would imagine if there's going to be an explanation behind it, yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, but the thing about that is the corridors of time that we went through were specifically Mercury's corridors of time.
Right.
What I'm thinking is, what if every planet has their own version of it? Like if you were to build a sundial for every planet, they would see a different version of the corridors of time.
Right, which, I mean, you could argue is what the obelisks are.
The start of it?
Well,
but the obelisks are created by...
It's a touchstone, a keystone to basically that particular planet. So you would have different keystones for different waypoints that would connect the... I mean, it's a common theme in like when you have multidimensional fiction. You'll have a lot of references to keystones, or a Dark Tower series does this quite a bit with Keystone Earth. Keystone Earth is the center point at which everything else branches out of.
But when you're walking through the different areas in your Dark Tower series, there's like the wasteland, sure, but there's not a very unified walking through area.
Currently there's not. So, but also remember that the Dark Tower multiverse that we experience within the stories is a broken down one because the time has passed on. And so in its heyday, there were corridors between the verses that allowed, the different factions to traverse those. And so you would have different waypoints within those multidimensional points that will allow you to travel from one dimension to the other. That's how Walter O'Dim was able to jump between, Salem's Lot and Wastelands and Oz and all the different Kantoi cities.
So it's just a path, not necessarily an established path.
I mean, that part is, I think it depends on the type of fiction that you look at. But I mean, you look at how, Black Flag just mentioned, Skolas pulled the wolves through time.
Right,
so
but that's what Vuru is asking.
He used Venus's corridors of time.
But that's what Vuru is asking in chat, is when Skolas did that, when we were on the Citadel, was he literally walking through a corridor of time like we did when he was pulling the wolves through? Or was there something totally different available to him?
I think he was using something different because he was using tech from the Vault of Glass.
Well,
But if
I
the
mean,
Vault of Glass has the conflicts,
I think
does
that it would be similar. I mean, I would also preface my response with we don't know because we don't know what.
These are speculations.
Yeah, these are definitely
But the
speculations.
connections are there to.
Yeah,
There's
I
enough
would.
dots there to make connections.
Yeah, I definitely think that it would be a strong possibility that what we're seeing is a bringing together of at least an explanation of how the Vex supposedly do the time stepping that they do. Because if you also think about it, these corridors of time would technically be outside of time. So when you talk about, taking this example of Skolas, if you say that Skolas walked a corridor of time, to us, when we're fighting him, they just kind of appear. There's no really big differentiation. He could have made an exodus through it, but to us, our perception, he was just an instant.
Stepping in and out of it.
Right. He literally, it's the whole analogy of time as a stream. He literally took a step out of the stream, took a step back, got what he wanted, took a step back, and then came back into the stream. But to the people who are in that stream at that moment, as soon as he steps out, and from that point to the point he steps back in, there's nothing to say that it could have been years, but it's like a Doctor Who episode, like, and like Doctor Who, that's kind of how I approach Destiny's time at this point, because it's like Doctor Who. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense as far as like quantum physics or anything, because at the end of the day, it's just meant there for a storytelling aspect.
Right, for sure. It's just fun to speculate on what it would possibly be.
I honestly think that with the introduction of the corridors of time, and with everything that we saw with the Vault of Glass, I do see a strong correlation between all of this stuff, and that would make sense to me, because again, we're talking about Vex. Right. So that's the common theme, if you will, between all of them.
Cool. Well, I don't want to go too much further into any lore stuff until we get into the advanced episode, because I have a feeling we're going to keep hashing this out there, as well as kind of going through the weapons in particular.
Yeah, especially with time loss, like.
Mm-hmm.
But so shout outs for the intro session.
Yep. Grave, do you have any shout outs for the first session?
Shout out to AJ. He was in the chat a little while ago, and I think he's still listening. So hi AJ, it's good to see you. He's a good friend of mine. And shout out to my clan, the Moon Cowboys.
Nice.
They are the biggest bunch of idiots I have the honor of playing with. They are honestly the most chill group of people. If you want like a chill group of Destiny players who do Nightfalls, Trials, and all this other stuff together, they're your clan. We don't raid a whole lot, but when we do, it's a pretty good time. We look us up on Bungie.net, Moon Cowboys. We have a Discord server that we use to sort of organize ourselves in, and one of our guys will link you to that.
Nice.
When you want to, if you feel like joining our little family.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, those are my shoutouts.
Cool. I have two this week. Shout out to Blue for letting me finish. Sadly, letting me finish my trials card for the evening with Cole, and we ended on a loss, unfortunately, but it's fine. We're gonna get back in there. And shout out to actually the Red Jack Network in general. That is my clan that I'm currently running with. It is the clan that Issaquah created, and kind of my core group is in there. Cole, Dwyer, Wicked, myself, Raz. A lot of Hydra has actually switched over to this for now, just because we have a larger group to work with. There's over 300 members, all on all different platforms, ranging from raid teams to PvPers. There's some pretty intense PvP players in there, all the way across the board, PvE, PvP. Everybody's helpful. They also do kind of Jackbox game nights and stuff like that. Really active kind of group, funny and silly. But if you are interested in that, hit up redjacksnetwork.com, I think is what she made it as far as the website. Red Jack Network. I'm going to look that up real quick so I give you the right page. Yeah,
We can link it in the show notes too.
.com. There's no S on it. Pretty easy. I'll put it in chat. I'll put it in show notes for you. Pretty nice, pretty easy to get into as far as fun types of things going on. Lots of people just being nice to each other, but also being competitive. That's okay. You can be both. But yeah, those are my 2 shout-outs for that. Blue, shout-outs for you.
Big shout out to Orchid for putting up with me running Silent Iron Banner with her while you guys chat about guns that I don't understand.
It's okay.
And big shout out to Green and Gray for chatting about guns that I don't understand, because
we like guns.
I can tell you about the Snicker Snack, but I cannot tell you what a Vorpal roll thing.
Vorpal weapon mod.
That one. I don't know what that does.
I guess
other than kill a Jabberwock.
It does a lot of damage to the bad things that want to hurt you.
It should be a one-hit kill.
AJ said that he got that.
Oh yeah, the Alice reference. Yeah, I was like, yay! Yeah. But yeah, big shout out to you guys. Good.
Totally a different intro session than normal, but I like it.
This was our closest attempt to doing Crucible Radio, and we're never going to get.
Right.
Pretty much.
This is Focus Fire Chat Radio.
Pretty much.
A really janky version of what those guys did. Anyway, we're trying.
Anyways, thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright. And I'm going to shoot this guy before I stop this recording. Ha ha! I win! Oh shit.
By the way, nice golden gun takedown on Citadel. I saw that and I was about to say something.